Good morning, students. We are going to learn the second lesson of Standard 8 1.2 Dick Whittington and his cat, part 3rd. In earlier part, we have seen that Dick Whittington went to London to pick up his fortune and he started working at Mr. Fitzwarren's house, where his life should have been better than before, because his two difficulties had been solved. One of residential place, that he got the place to live in an attic, and the second, that he would get the food at that place. By saving money, he solved the first difficulty out of two. The first difficulty was of having much many rats and mice in that attic. They used to overrun. So he bought a cat and solved that difficulty, because the cat started chasing the rats and mice in no time. But the second difficulty was the cook's nature. Once he tried to go away from that place, but he heard the church bells as they were warning him not to move ahead, as he is the worthy of Mayor of London. So he returned. Once Fitzwarren called all the family members and asked whether they want to give something to sell in African coast. Now we will see whether he gives his own cat or not. Then let your cat go on the ship, said Mr. Fitzwarren. So his daughter said, Alice said, Dick loves his cat, let me put something in for him. But her father said, no, it must be his, not something belonging to someone else. As Dick said that he was having only his cat, that's why Fitzwarren's daughter Alice was ready to give something, but Mr. Fitzwarren said no, it must be his own. So Dick faced his cat and said goodbye to it sadly, unhappily. He said goodbye to his cat. The captain of the ship was delighted. Before this, in the first sentence, the word fetch. See the meaning of fetch. Fetch means to go and bring. So he fetched the cat unhappily. The captain of the ship was delighted. Delighted means happy, for the cat was an excellent mouser. The meaning of mouser is an animal that catches mice. And so he had no trouble with rats and mice on his voyage. Voyage, traveling through water, that is journey. So when the captain saw the cat, he became happy, because he knows that the cat was an excellent mouser, so that he will not have any trouble during his voyage. After some months, the ship arrived at a place on the African coast called Barbary, where people called the Moors lived. After traveling for a few months, the ship reached at the African coast, Barbary. The people who lived there were called Moors. The captain sent a message to the king to say he had fine goods for sale, and he was invited to the palace to show them. As soon as they reached there, the captain of the ship sent a message to the king to say she had bought many fine goods for sale, and he was invited to the palace to show them. While he was talking to the king and queen, some dishes of food were brought in. When the captain was talking with the king and queen, some dishes of food were served. But almost immediately, rats and mice ran up and, before the captain's eyes, ate all the food. So as soon as the dishes were served, the rats and mice came and ate all the food. The captain was astonished. Astonished means surprised, and asked if this was what normally happened. And then he inquired and said, "Is it the normally happens? Does this happen normally?" "Alas, yes," came the reply. Reply means answer. And he got the answer from the king and queen that yes. They answered sadly. The country is suffering from a plague. Plague means a thing that causes great trouble of rats and mice, and we cannot get rid of them. We cannot get rid of them. Rid of means to be free from this trouble. "I think I may have the answer on my ship," said the captain. By observing the situation, captain said yes, he had the solution for this plague, and he sent a message asking for Dick's cat to be brought to the palace. More food was laid out, and the rats and mice appeared as before. So according to the order of the captain, the cat was brought there, and more food was laid out, and the rats and mice appeared as they appeared before. The cat immediately pounced, jumped, killing at least a dozen before they scattered, spread. As soon as the rats and mice appeared, the cat jumped on them and killed a dozen of rats before they scattered, spread. Everyone was delighted, and the queen asked, "What do you call this animal?" After seeing this, everyone was happy. And the queen asked, "What is the name of this animal? What do you call this animal?" "Puss is the name she answers to," said the captain. And the captain said that the name of this animal is Puss. And when the queen called, "Puss, Puss," the cat went over to her and purred. Purred made a sound. Purred. The queen was a little alarmed at first, as she had seen how fiercely the cat had. So when the cat went near the queen, initially, in the beginning, that queen was little afraid to the cat, because she had witnessed how fiercely, how terribly the cat had attacked the rats and mice. But the captain told her not to be anxious. Anxious means worried. Puss is very friendly with people. So captain told her, "Don't worry, don't be frightened. This animal is very friendly with people," he said, "and would soon rid your kingdom of rats and mice. And this cat would make your kingdom free from rats and mice." I would give great weight to own this animal, said the queen. And the queen was very happy according to the performance of the cat. So she said, I would give great wealth. I'll give you a lot of wealth. So the captain began. Began is the past form of begin. It means start. Beginning. So the captain began bargaining, and it was agreed that the king would buy the whole cargo from Mr. Fitzwarren's ship to pay a fine price for it, and for the cat alone the king paid 10 times the sum again. When the captain bargained, the king agreed that he would buy Mr. Fitzwarren's ship, the whole cargo, and he will pay a fine price for it. And for the cat alone, the king was ready to pay 10 times the sum again. It means the price of the cat was 10 times more than the cargo. When the ship came back to the port of London, the captain showed Mr. Fitzwarren the gold and jewels he had brought from Barbary and told him the story of the cat. When the captain returned to port of London, he told Mr. Fitzwarren the story of the cat, and he showed the gold and jewels he had brought from Barbary. The merchant sent for Dick. The merchant means Mr. Fitzwarren. Sent for Dick. From now on, Dick, he said, we should all call you Mr. Whittington, for you are a rich man. When Dick came there, Mr. Fitzwarren said, Dick, now onwards, we should all call you Mr. Whittington, because you have become a rich man. Mr. Fitzwarren then paid him all the money the captain had received for the cat. In this way, the captain gave him all the amount what he received for the cat. From this time, on, Dick worked with Mr. Fitzwarren and became a successful merchant himself. So as Dick Whittington had become a rich man, so he started working with Mr. Fitzwarren and became a successful merchant himself, merchant businessman. So Dick Whittington also became a businessman. He married Mr. Fitzwarren's daughter Alice. As we have seen that Alice was a merciful lady. She was ready to help Dick when he was very poor. So now Dick became very rich and he got married with Alice, who was Mr. Fitzwarren's daughter. And 3 times he was elected Lord Mayor of London. After that, Dick was elected as Lord Mayor of London. He was also in time knighted by the king and became Sir Richard Whittington. Knighted means given a highly honored title. The King of London honored him. A highly honored title was given to him, that is Sir Richard. He was not only famous, but he was popular too. Famous means well known, and popular means liked by all. So Mr. Dick Whittington became famous and popular because he always helped the poor with his money, because now he had been rich, and so with that money he used to help the poor. Sometimes, when he was old, he would tell his grandchildren the story of his cat. When Dick Whittington became old, sometimes he started telling the story of his cat to his grandchildren, and how the bells of London had called him back when he was only a poor boy. And again he told his grandchildren, when he was ready to leave from Mr. Fitzwarren's house because of the nature of the cook, how the church bells of London called him back when he was a poor boy. He mentioned the lines, "Turn again, Whittington, thou worthy citizen, Lord Mayor of London." It means the sounds of the church bells were, "Turn again, Whittington, thou worthy citizen." Thou means you, worthy means eligible, capable citizen, Lord Mayor of London. So in this way, he started telling his grandchildren that if we are poor, we should work hard, follow the advice, and help others if it is possible. So we should try ourselves to solve our difficulties. In this way, Dick Whittington became a successful merchant and led his life happily. So students, here there are some difficult words. You will have to note down the hard words and their meanings also in the notebook. And for better understanding, it is better to listen the lecture once again and attempt the test, because in test we have selected such MCQ questions which questions are not there in the textbook. We have formed our own questions. So if you read the textbook or if you listen the lecture, then only you will be able to answer the questions properly. So in this way, here we finished the lesson Dick Whittington and his cat. In the last 3 lines, so this is the church bells sound. Thou is an archaic word. Thou means you. Worthy means eligible. You are capable of being the Lord Mayor of London. By listening this church bell sound, Dick Whittington returned from his way, and he decided that he is ready to suffer. He is ready to tolerate the cook for some time if his luck is that much good. And see, it has been true. It is the truth. Thank you.